entrepreneurs?
Well, for women entrepreneurs, we do two things. I'll come to the youth in a minute. For women entrepreneurs, we do two things. Of course, we have a V-Hub which handholds a lot of young women, and I'm proud of the work V-Hub has done. Truly astounding work. Some of the entrepreneurs I meet there are doing truly cutting-edge work, and truly delighted at the success they've had. Again, I'd love to see how the young women of BNI can actually have an exposure visit to V-Hub and see what can be done. Deepthi is here somewhere, I think. You can work with, Deepthi and her team, because it's a brilliant institution that has been created. Of course, has to be utilized more effectively and has to ensure that creates more opportunities for young women. We also have created 3 industrial parks exclusively for women. We have one in Sultanpur and 2 more, one in Nandigam and one more, I can't recall the name right now. But 3 industrial parks exclusively for women entrepreneurs have been created. More importantly, in every industrial park, we have a quota for women. We have a quota for Dalits. We have a quota for marginalized, people from marginalized backgrounds and sections. We also have a quota for the physically disabled. So we ensure that inclusivity is an important ingredient of our industrialization policy. What we could also look at in future is how we can create more and more of these entities in the hinterland. I'm more focused on ensuring more opportunities are created in the rural Telangana. And on the youth part, I think, the most important realization that has to dawn on the governments and everybody else across the country is, honestly, today we are who we are because of this demographic dividend that we are reaping today. 65% of India is less than the age of 35, and I think that's our biggest strength today. Those are the guys who are really creating our resources, generating resources, amplifying our revenues, and really keeping the Indian flag flying high across the world as well. So where do I start? I mean, there are enough and more opportunities, just that the social conditioning needs to change. हमें बचपन से ही बोला जाता है कि रिस्क नहीं लो, डेट लेना, कर्ज ना लो, और तेलुगु में अगर बोलूं तो अप्पू जैसी पप्पू कोड दिनोद्दु, మీరు తాహతుకు మించి అప్పు చేయొద్దు, ये सब बोला जाता है. और एक और चीज भी बताया जाता है बार बार हमें कि इंडिया में 2 ही चीज करो, या तो डॉक्टर बनो या इंजीनियर बनो. ज्यादातर ये लोग यही बोलते हैं. So one of the things that needs to happen among the society, in the society as well, is how this conditioning, this thinking, the entrepreneurship is fraught with risk. How can we tackle it? Because not everybody can get a government job. Not everybody can even become, a private sector employee. There are a lot of youngsters who have stars in their eyes, for whom we have created a number of institutions, but there's not enough, that we can do. I think it's more about, see, for instance, the first company to have shipped a rocket into the sky was a T-Hub incubator called a Skyroot, which I think is a fascinating story if you ask me. The first Indian company. Even Elon Musk had to try thrice for SpaceX. But Skyroot did it in the first attempt. Likewise, Dhruva Space, another Hyderabad company, they sent out nano satellites into the orbit in the first attempt. So these are fantastic stories. I mean, I'm not talking just Kirana stores and, the typical businesses. I'm talking space tech to groceries and FMCGs. I mean, you have to cover the whole gamut. I'm saying nothing is beyond the realm of impossible, beyond the realm of possible. So I think our youngsters have to realize that आज जो हम लोग product use करते हैं, Instagram, Snap, or even Twitter and other things, none of these are rocket sciences. These are very simple products, even WhatsApp, very simple product, just that somebody else had an idea before us. So therefore, they've made $19 billion, selling a simple tool like WhatsApp to Facebook. So we need to figure out such ideas. We need to come out with such, simpler, effective solutions, which will continue to keep the pot boiling.
Gaming is a big industry. So any plans for that, for the...
Gaming में थोड़ा एक मसला भी है कि, I've seen in this very city, in fact, some people who've become addicts and they start betting, they start, card clubs was a thing, 10 साल पहले Hyderabad में भी, card clubs was a big thing. And I know of people who've lost their lives and who've sold their properties in these card clubs.
Not that kind of gaming.
No, I understand. The question is, where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line? Because the line is, it's a very thin line. Gaming में क्या होता है? मैं online रमी, कोई बोलता है it's a game of skill. मैं बोलता हूँ हाँ, but so you have to figure out. I don't play cards. In fact, I hate cards. So I personally, I have nothing against it, but there is a very thin line you have to draw. So if it does not involve betting, because I'm sure people are betting even on the World Cup, people are betting on elections. I know.
Okay, let me cut that question. And so,
आप bet कर रहे हो?
I'm betting on you.
Thank you. That's a great line. You have a winner.
So, as BNI, we have, sponsored 45 free seats for the T Hub, whoever is, coming out, entrepreneurs from there. And we would like to do a lot more and be include ourselves into the growth of Telangana. So, any areas you think we should, we can collaborate?
There's plenty. I mean, where do I start? There's plenty to work on because, you guys are all about entrepreneurship. You guys are all about creating employment and wealth for the state and the country. And I think that, in our country, wealth creators are not respected enough, honestly. Wealth creators and entrepreneurship is not respected enough. In the world, elsewhere in the West, an entrepreneur is looked at with respect. The entrepreneur even has become, most of them have become poster boys. People admire Zuckerberg, people admire Larry, people admire Sergey. There's so many other people, who have become really poster boys. But in India, कोई आदमी जब पैसा बनाता है उसको मतलब शक की नजरिए से देखते हैं. So we need to change that bit of a mindset also. Start, respecting our entrepreneurs, making them our poster boys and poster girls, so that more and more youngsters come into this line of activity. Entrepreneurship is a culture. You have to admire Gujaratis for that. One thing, Gujaratis from a very early age, and even Marwadis in the country anywhere. No, seriously. Because even our chief minister says when we launch some programs, entrepreneurship is inculcated in these guys from a very young age. उनको बोला जाता है कि 16-17 की उम्र में आप आ जाओ और join हो जाओ, काम सीख लो, which is a good thing because end of the day, the question that a youngster needs to ask himself or herself is, do I work for myself or should I work for somebody else? And end of the day, that's an individual choice. But we can certainly, there are a number of areas where we can work together. Like I said, we can constitute like 5-6 people team from BNI that can work with us, and we can pick and choose those areas.
What are the 5 sectors you think we should be focusing on?
Well, my dream is, like I said, tourism is one area which I would love to see more and more happen. Second thing I would focus on is sporting infrastructure because मुझे उम्मीद है कि इंडिया को एक मौका मिलेगा ओलंपिक्स होस्ट करने के लिए और मैं चाहता हूं कि हैदराबाद में होस्ट हो. That is one thing I'd love to see. The third thing is, I think, a combination of education and skilling because, this is an area where we can't have enough because the biggest strength of us, our country, our state is the youngsters. But if you harness that potential properly and make sure that they are skilled, because मुझे बहुत लोग पूछते हैं, मैं जब बोलता हूं उनको कि 3 लाख थे IT एम्प्लॉइज आज 10 लाख हो गए तो काफी सारे लोग पूछते हैं उसमें तेलंगाना वाले कितने हैं. अरे यार जब पाए बड़ा करो, you continue to grow the pie and you skill yourself and up your skill, you will get an opportunity. ऐसा एक्सक्लूसिव अगर बना दोगे, बोलोगे कि नहीं यहाँ पर इसमें लोकल रिजर्वेशन लाओ, तो शायद वो गलत है. तो मैं इसीलिए कह रहा हूँ कि स्किलिंग और एजुकेशन का जो कॉम्बिनेशन, जो अभी मैं कह रहा था आपसे, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में भी अप्रेंटिसशिप होना चाहिए, प्रैक्टिस स्कूल होना चाहिए. Now, this is another sector I would love to see more and more happen. The fourth area is, of course, healthcare, because the out-of-pocket expenditure on healthcare is something that we've worked consciously on in the last 10 years. We've done well. There are free diagnostics now, free dispensaries, basti dawakhanas. We need to do more because we are building more hospitals now in Telangana. In Hyderabad alone, we are building 4 Telangana Institute of Medical Sciences. We are building a medical college in each and every district. All of this is going to help. And I would love to see how technology can be a game changer. Want to do electronic medical records of each individual, ensure that in the golden hour some lives are saved. And the fifth and last thing I want to do, I'd love to see, is more and more entrepreneurship coming from my state. I've said this to Modi ji as well when he had called me. He had called all of us political party leaders on the eve of 75th year of independence. I said 3 ingredients that are important: innovation, infrastructure, inclusive growth. अगर ये तीनों हैं तो India by 2047 will surely become first world country.
100%.
Thank you.
Now, if you have some time, I will throw it open to the crowd. If they have some questions, I will just take 1 or 2 questions, please. So, yes. Yeah,
please.
Can you pass the mic?
Use your lung power. I think we have only 5 minutes because I'm going to Mancherial and Khanapur, so please keep it direct and simple.
Yeah, I am Santosh from Sunvian Technologies. Actually, the IT industry, okay, you developed all the IT industries in Kokapet and Gachibowli, high-tech city, right? So I would like to tell that if you develop in the whole city, like for example, Patancheru Mandal, Uppal, there is an IT industry, the Infosys is there in Pocharam, but like
I got the question. You're talking about growth in dispersion.
Yeah.
You're talking about staggering it all over. Unfortunately, the buildings in Kokapet and Gachibowli have become so beautiful that nobody wants to move out of there. What do I do? I'm trying very hard. I'm trying very hard. I'm trying very hard to take people away from the western part because it is decongesting the city as well. बहुत कोशिश कर रहा हूँ ऊपर ले जाने की, कोम्पल्ली ले जाने की. I'm trying my level best. And I'm even giving them value proposition. I'm saying lesser taxes, lesser real estate prices, and your employees anyway fly there. I think the solution is most likely in metro. I'm going to expand metro in the next term. The idea is to make it in the next 10 years, take it to 400 kilometers. And that possibly will answer. That possibly will be an answer.
Well, thank
Hello,
you so much.
hello.
sir,
Good morning, KTR garu. Na peru Shekhar Dayam. I am into hosiery business. మేము డిఫరెంట్ జాకీ వ్యాన్స్ డిఫరెంట్ బ్రాండ్స్ డీల్ చేస్తాము. అలాగే పేజ్ ఇండస్ట్రీస్ని కూడా హైదరాబాద్లో మీరు తేవడానికి ప్రయత్నిస్తున్నారు. అలాగే డిఫరెంట్ బ్రాండ్స్ ఉన్నాయి. లైక్ మనము యూఎస్ బ్రాండ్ని చేస్తున్నాము. అది మేక్ ఇన్ ఇండియా కాన్సెప్ట్ లాగా మన దగ్గరనే మ్యానుఫ్యాక్చరింగ్ చేయడానికి మీరేమైనా చూస్తారు?
ఏది మ్యానుఫ్యాక్చరింగ్ అన్నారు?
లైక్ పేజ్ ఇండస్ట్రీస్ ఉన్నది కదా సార్,
పేజ్
ఇండస్ట్రీస్ లైక్ జాకీ
okay.
హైదరాబాద్లో లైక్ మీరు ఆల్రెడీ ప్లానింగ్లో ఉన్నారు. సో అది ఏ విధంగా చేయదలుచుకుంటున్నారు? లైక్ మేక్ ఇన్ ఇండియాలో
అంటే అల్టిమేట్గా మేక్ ఇన్ ఇండియా ఫర్ ఇండియానా మేక్ ఇన్ ఇండియా ఫర్ ద వరల్డ్ అనే దాని మీద ఉంటుంది. అంటే ఒకవేళ ఇఫ్ ఇట్స్ యూనివర్సల్ బ్రాండ్, అంతర్జాతీయ బ్రాండ్ అయితే దెన్ వీ హ్యావ్ టు గెట్ ఇన్ టు అ కాంట్రాక్ట్ మ్యానుఫ్యాక్చరింగ్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ మోడ్ లైక్ పేజ్ డస్. Otherwise, what can happen is, if you want to build your brand for India, there's plenty of scope. Just that you have to apply yourself a bit more, yeah? Guys, I really have to run. I'm going to Mancherial and Khanapur, so I'm flying out. So thank you.
Thank you so much for this wonderful insight about. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
I'd like to invite Sanjana to come and felicitate KT Ramarao Garu.
बंगाल से जहां कहीं से भी आके यहाँ पे बसने वाले, उनका क्या होगा, ये पार्टी का क्या रवैया होगा? This was one of the most important questions everybody had in mind. If I remember correctly, on the 29th of May 2014, I had conducted an event. This was 3 days before we took office in 2014. We had conducted a session in Taj Krishna with many business groups, and I had made one commitment that this will be a no-nonsense state. Will focus solely on development and welfare, because दोनों का बैलेंस भी बहुत ज़रूरी है. क्योंकि अगर वेलफेयर नहीं करेंगे तो जो गरीब सेक्शन है सोसाइटी में वो बेचैन हो जाएंगे, रेस्टलेस हो जाएंगे. और इसी स्टेट में हमने इससे पहले देखा कि जब रेस्टलेस हो जाते हैं तो उसका नतीजा भी हमने देखा, नक्सलिज्म, अदर एक्सट्रीमिटीज विच आर नॉट वारंटेड और वांटेड इन अ सोसाइटी लाइक इंडिया. So therefore, I had mentioned explicitly that we will solve the basic issues, we'll address the basic infrastructure issues. I'm not going to promise you the moon, but we will deliver on a no-nonsense approach. We'll focus on getting the basics right. We will ensure law and order and social harmony prevails. We'll not get into unnecessary nonsense. Now it has been 9.5 years, out of which I also have to tell you, if literally net अगर आप बात करेंगे तो हमने काम किया 6.5 years, क्योंकि 2 साल तो कोविड में गया. 2 साल, I think everybody lost those 2 valuable years in life. Unfortunately, even the government suffered a huge loss. Almost 1 lakh crore का loss हमें भी हुआ है. और 1 साल लग गया इलेक्शन लड़ने में. बहुत इलेक्शन लड़े इस बीच में, 3 असेंबली इलेक्शन, 2 पार्लियामेंट इलेक्शन, साथ साथ 2 GHMC इलेक्शन, तो अगर आप पूरा अगर if you take all of that into account, because all of that also disturbs kind of governance and continuity. So we have literally been able to govern only for 6.5 years, because 2 years for COVID and 1 year for these elections, 6.5 years. Now, my humble request to all of you, my humble appeal to all of you, what we have done in 6.5 years is in front of you. What others have done in 65 years before us is also in front of you. Please do a compare and contrast. उनको 10 गुना ज़्यादा वक्त मिला हमसे, 10 गुना ज़्यादा समय मिला हमसे. हमने बस 6.5 years हमें मौका दिया गया. इन 6.5 सालों में मैंने कई सारे टेस्टिमोनियल सुनी कि I can't beat my own drum and blow my own trumpet, but I have to say the facts. Today when my friends come visit, I'm sure this is your experience as well. When my friends or even investors come and visit Hyderabad today, the first thing they always say is, आपकी शहर बहुत सुंदर है, आपका इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर काफी अच्छा है, लगता है कि हम इंडिया में नहीं हैं. Even, I'm sure most of you had this. People who have friends outside of the city, when they come after a while, they've all had the same experience. Foxconn के chairman आए थे. He had come for a lunch meeting with Honorable CM. So when he had come, the first question he asked Chief Minister Garu was, I didn't feel like this was India. What have you done that others have not done? So as the world is recognizing what Hyderabad is, we are definitely, a city that is far superior to others. Chennai से superstar रजनीकांत आते हैं, उनको लगता है कि थोड़ा मतलब गच्चीबौली, जुबली हिल्स, I think he went around that area, and he said, मुझे यकीन नहीं हुआ कि मैं हैदराबाद में हूँ या न्यूयॉर्क में हूँ. तो मतलब रजनी को समझ आ रहा है, बट यहाँ के जो हमारे ऑपोजिशन के गजनी हैं उनको नहीं समझ आ रहा है. मैं क्या करूँ ऑनेस्टली. सनी डियोल को समझ आया. सनी डियोल आए, वो बीजेपी के एमपी भी हैं, वो मुंबई से आते हैं. वो कहते हैं कि हैदराबाद इतना खूबसूरत है कि मैं यहाँ घर खरीदना चाहता हूँ, यहाँ बसना चाहता हूँ. एक तेलुगु एक्ट्रेस थी लया करके, वो बस गई जाके यूएस में. वो वापस आती है, वो भी कहती है कि हमारे सैन फ्रांसिस्को और लॉस एंजलिस से अच्छे बिल्डिंग तो यहाँ पे बन रहे हैं. तो मतलब द परसेप्टेबल चेंज दैट यू सी इन हैदराबाद इज प्राइमरीली बिकॉज ऑफ वन सिंपल रीजन, स्टेबल गवर्नमेंट एंड एबल लीडरशिप. अगर ये है, डिसाइसिव लीडरशिप है और स्टेबल गवर्नमेंट है, हाँ मैं ये नहीं कहूँगा, आई वोंट से दैट हमने इसको स्वर्ग बना दिया या कुछ ऐसा कर दिया जो दुनिया में किसी ने नहीं किया. मैं बस इतना ही कहूँगा, हाँ हम में भी कमियां हैं, हमने भी गलतियां की होंगी, हमें भी कुछ छोटे मोटे इश्यूज हमारे साथ भी रहेंगे. ये नहीं मैं कहता कि हम पिक्चर परफेक्ट हैं, हम मतलब कोई गलती नहीं करें, ये नहीं बोलूंगा मैं. हाँ हमें भी है, देयर आर सर्टेन थिंग्स वी हैव टू इम्प्रूव फॉर श्योर. आई थिंक इट्स पार्ट ऑफ ग्रोथ. Everybody needs to improve. Pursuit of excellence is incessant. Therefore, I liked the theme of BNI today. I like the fact that you said 3.0, Telangana 3.0, because all of us who use smartphones, we periodically get software updates. All of us have to upgrade our phones, otherwise it will become redundant and kind of backward. So therefore, I like the theme 3.0 because I think it's important to learn from the first 10 years and move ahead with all the learnings. One of the most important things that I've learned as Minister for Industry and Technology is, while there has been a significant growth in technology and life sciences, there needs to be a lot more done for SMEs. There needs to be a lot more done for from the government side to ensure that the valley of death that typically SMEs and micro enterprises go through. We need to do more hand-holding. We need to actually have banks on board. We need to get more techno-economic viability studies done. We need to ensure कि छोटे-छोटे जो business हैं, ये survive करें onslaught को और ये छोटे business, क्योंकि अगर आप जर्मनी जैसी देश देखेंगे, तो more than 75% of the industry in Germany is SME, which I think is fascinating. So I think one of the things we ought to do is do that. And second thing, in education, one of the things our children lack today is practical exposure. And that's something I would like to change for next term, where I would want to have an opportunity to have practice school or apprenticeship kind of model where kids actually start working in the industry while they're studying. And by the time they graduate, they should get both course credits and practical exposure so that they're ready to hit the ground running on day one.
So much needed. Thank you. I think all my questions revolve around what you just said just now.
Okay.
But believe me, not only outsiders. When I travel and when I come back to my city, I feel so proud of it. So thank you so much. And having said that, when people feel so proud about the city and so much hype is there about Hyderabad, how can we get global conventions, global people to come to Hyderabad? That will, in one way, also help the service industry, which, really is, I would say, having to struggle today, because service industry is such an industry where everyone can get in easily with low capital. Everyone can be an entrepreneur. So in BNI, we have a lot of members who are service related. So what do you think, what do you plan to do in the next?
Well, in fact, after COVID, one of the industries that has taken a severe hit is service industry, without a question. But now things are looking good again. Now things are going back to where they were. But one of my biggest priorities for next term will be to focus on social infrastructure for Telangana, because the potential for tourism, for instance, is immense in Telangana. In fact, if you go around today, the number of new reservoirs that have been created, number of new water bodies that have been created, number of new avenues that have been created, and the fact that people are willing to spend money is something that has not been seen in history in the past. आज कोविड के बाद हर किसी को लग रहा है, आपको स्काईलैब शायद याद होगा, एक टाइम था, थोड़े हम लोग यहाँ पे बहुत सारे बच्चे लग रहे हैं, तो बच्चे दिख रहे हैं, तो मैं स्काईलैब शायद इनको नहीं याद होगा, बट आपको जिनको नहीं मालूम मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूँ. आपको पता है कि आप हाथ ऊपर कर रहे हैं? अच्छा, गुड. तो स्काईलैब करके क्या हुआ था, एक मैं भी बच्चा था, आई थिंक आई डोंट नो, मे बी 7 or 8 maybe. I remember like not so vividly, but याद है मुझे. Skylab करके, I think it was NASA or somebody who experimented and sent out, the word, like the word itself says, a lab in the sky, Skylab, right? So उन्होंने, they've sent it into the space. और एक rumor ये चल गया कि Skylab fail हो गया और आके यहाँ पे गिरने वाला है. तो क्या हो गया, वहाँ पे मैं मेरे दादा दादी का गांव जो है वो करीमनगर में. आई रिमेंबर स्पेंडिंग टाइम देयर इन समर्स. तो वन समर व्हेन आई वेंट देयर, पूरा गांव में न्यूज़ फैल गया कि स्काईलैब हमारे ही गांव में गिरने वाला है, तो हम लोग रहेंगे बस 10-15 दिन रहेंगे, पूरा तबाह हो जाएगा, सो व्हाई डोंट वी जस्ट एंजॉय करके. कुछ लोग ने तो अपना जायदाद बेच दिया, सब कुछ बेच दिया, खाना पीना बस, कुछ और नहीं, दावत कर रहे थे हर दिन की, मरने वाले हैं और क्या करना है. तो फिर 15 दिन के बाद पता चला कि वो जाके बे ऑफ बंगाल में गिर गया. दिस इज नॉट द स्टोरी ऑफ वन विलेज, ट्रस्ट मी व्हेन आई से दिस. एक सिनेमा भी आया इस पे, शायद आपको नहीं पता, बट आई थिंक लॉट ऑफ विलेजेस एंड लॉट ऑफ डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स वर गोइंग थ्रू दैट कि हम लोग मरने वाले हैं, चलो भाई खत्म. तो कोविड के बाद भी एहसास फिर से आ गया कि कोई परमानेंट नहीं है, हम लोग ऐसे जीते हैं जैसे कि हम लोग परमानेंटली यहाँ पे आए धरती पे. बट बहुत लोगों को एहसास हो गया कि भाई लिमिटेड टाइम है, एक्सपायरी डेट लेके हम लोग आए, तो थोड़ा घूमना फिरना है, खर्च भी करना है. तो इसलिए मैं कह रहा हूं, आज घूमना फिरना कहाँ हो रहा है, कोई सिंगापुर जाता है, कोई मालदीव जाता है, कोई भूटान जा रहा है, कोई और दुबई जा रहा है, कोई और कहीं और जा रहा है. मैं कहता हूं इंडिया में और तेलंगाना में इतना पोटेंशियल है, इतना जबरदस्त पोटेंशियल है. आई रिक्वेस्ट ऑल द एंटरप्रेन्योर्स हियर टू स्टार्ट, प्लीज स्टार्ट प्लानिंग एंड लुकिंग एट अपॉर्चुनिटीज विद इन आवर स्टेट एंड आवर कंट्री, बिकॉज देयर इज इनफ एंड मोर. देयर इज रिलीजियस टूरिज्म, there is medical tourism, there is spiritual tourism, there is health tourism, there is wilderness tourism, there is adventure tourism, there is sports tourism. अलग अलग तरह के अगर आप देखेंगे, क्योंकि अगर आप देखेंगे, एक तरफ है आदिलाबाद में हमारा कवाल टाइगर रिजर्व, दूसरी तरफ यहाँ पे है अमराबाद टाइगर रिजर्व, एक तरफ कृष्णा है, दूसरी तरफ गोदावरी है, दोनों को लग के काफी सारा जंगल है, विल्डरनेस हम लोग कर सकते हैं. सो वन ऑफ द थिंग्स आई वांट टू क्रिएट, in fact, again, when I am voted back to power and if Honorable Chief Minister is going to give me an opportunity, I will request him for Tourism Ministry this time, because I am keen on promoting great. I am wanting to. Because I believe this is one sector that really has a lot of potential. And again, the good thing about tourism is, इसमें गवर्नमेंट का पैसा ज़्यादा नहीं लगना है. इसमें PPP में हम लोग कर सकते हैं, पब्लिक प्राइवेट पार्टनरशिप में. We can invite large chains, small chains, medium chains to come set up facilities and work with government. The government will be the enabler और आपको पैसे लगाना है और चलाना है. और लोग आज खर्च करने के लिए तैयार हैं. आज people are willing to spend. Earlier it was not the case. See, one of the things I remember, sir, is that मैं जब पहली बार यूएस गया था 98-99 में, मुझे थोड़ा अजीब सा लगता था कि हर दिन बाहर खा रहे हैं लोग, हर दिन बाहर खाते थे वहाँ पे, मतलब हर दिन मैकडॉनल्ड्स, हर दिन वेंडीज, हर दिन आरबीज, वो बाकी चेन्स होते हैं वहाँ पे ज़्यादा। तो मैं परेशान था कि यार इंडिया में तो आदत है मेरे घर में खाने की हर दिन, कभी का एक बार बाहर जाते थे, मतलब महीने में एक बार, एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा। बट देखिए ट्रेंड कैसे बदल रहा है आज इंडिया में भी हर दिन मेरी बेटी, आज मैं जाता हूँ घर तो कहीं एक दिन शोयू से आ गया कोई खाना, कोई एक दिन कुछ और आ गया, मैं बोले कहाँ से आ रहा है, बोलते स्विगी, आई एम लाइक ओके गुड। सो पॉइंट इज people are eating out, people are ordering in, people are spending, people are willing to experiment. Earlier this was not the situation. So the question you asked regarding service industry and what we can do to help, I would love to sit down with BNI post December 3rd, क्योंकि काफ़ी आइडियाज़ हैं, काफ़ी सारे आइडियाज़ हैं, जैसे प्रॉपर्टी टैक्सेस को लेके, इवन अदर टैक्सेस दैट पॉसिबली कैन बी staggered in such a way that it doesn't hit their cash flows. So there are plenty of things we can do to work with each other, especially because they're small and medium enterprises. I'd love to possibly engage with BNI post-election where we can have a team, like 5 or 6 people come to me, sit down, I'll call my officers from various departments, taxes, industry, even tourism, etc., and make sure we understand each other's concerns and evolve. Because that's exactly how the TS IPAS, the policy that came out for industry, evolved in this very room. Chief Minister sat with industry, 7 घंटे बैठ के उन्होंने तय किया कि क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम्स है, जैसे पावर. One of the biggest concerns back then was power. When Congress was in government here, 3 दिन का पावर हॉलिडे होता था. आज 3 घंटे का भी पावर हॉलिडे आपको नहीं लगता. So these are the things that we need to sort out. These are the basics that we need to address before we can start dreaming big and thinking big. So I will ensure, I promise you, that a team of 5 or 6 can be constituted from BNI. I will sit with you.
In fact, my next question was supposed to be on tourism, and we have a lot of people in event who would love to be a part of that group and take tourism to new heights. And they feel that there's tremendous potential which is being untapped.
आपने वो साइकिल ट्रैक देखा है 23 किलोमीटर सोलर वाला? मैं वही नहीं, that is just the beginning. पिक्चर अभी बाकी है, वो ट्रेलर है. क्योंकि मैं ये चाहता हूँ कि गंडी पेट है, हिमायत सागर है. I want to do a lot more. We should absolutely utilize these brilliant reservoirs to the hilt. Make sure, of course, they're not polluted. Because, one of the most insane things people do is we provide, good infrastructure and then it is not maintained and kept properly. मैं बोलूँगा तो शायद मुझे थोड़ा दिक्कत भी होगा इलेक्शन टाइम में, बट फिर भी बोलूँगा. सिविक सेंस बहुत कम है हमें. तो एक चीज़ इसको बदलना पड़ेगा. इट्स अ कल्चरल थिंग. सेम लोग जो यहाँ पे रोड पे पेपर फेंक देते, सिंगापुर जाते ही सुधर जाते, वो जेब में डाल लेते. आदत से मजबूर है, क्योंकि हमारे एटीट्यूड जो है चल रहा भाई, चलने दो, हैदराबाद एटीट्यूड है, तो इसको थोड़ा सुधरना चाहिए भी. तो वन ऑफ द थिंग्स I'd love to see is, like I said, work on, there are a number of ideas, sir, not one. We can make a Hyderabad theatre district here. मुझे ये मालूम है कि आज एक फैमिली के लिए आउटिंग अगर जाना है हैदराबाद में, तो या तो मॉल जाओ, या सिनेमा जाओ, या कभी का एक बार कोई बॉलिंग एली और समथिंग चले जाओ, या रेस्टोरेंट चले जाओ. इसके अलावा ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं है. तो वी नीड अ वाइब्रेंट थिएटर सीन, वी नीड गुड सोशल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, वी नीड वीकेंड गेटअवेज 1.5-2 hours away from Hyderabad. We need to create more and more such avenues so that not just Hyderabad but rural Telangana, hinterland also prospers and does well, because it is important to also ensure that we create jobs in the rural hinterland. And that's one of the things I also want to appeal, because BNI is all about medium entrepreneurs and small entrepreneurs. One of the things I would love to share with you guys is, and this is not your question but I'm digressing, after Telangana formation today, there are 5 revolutions that are unfolding आज आपके सामने. पहला तो यह है कि एक नया ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन अनफोल्ड हो रहा है तेलंगाना में, because of all the water bodies that have been created. So from 68 lakh metric tons of paddy procurement in 2014, now we are at 3.5 crore metric ton procurement this year. It's a quantum leap. But paddy, it's not just paddy alone. Our cotton quality is the best in the country. We produce mirchi, we produce cotton, we produce maize, we produce soya, we produce sweet lime, we produce groundnut, there's plenty. So one of the first things I'll tell you is, agri revolution जो चल रहा है, इसको लेके हम लोग we are creating special food processing zones in 16 locations in about 10,000 acres. So I want state-of-the-art new rice mills, state-of-the-art agro-processing industries, food processing industries. I don't know if you guys know, but Monain is manufacturing their syrups from Telangana. Likewise, there are a number of others who have set up plants here. Love to see how we can do more in that front and how you guys can participate there. The second revolution that's unfolding right in front of your eyes is a blue revolution. Telangana today is number one in inland fisheries. We have 46,000 lakes and tanks. In fact, India's largest aqua hub is coming up in my district, Sirsila, where 370 acres, where in fact we have companies which are focused on creating export potential for, tilapia is a variety of fish that is not consumed here. It is consumed much in the US. यहाँ rear करेंगे केज कल्चर में, उसको शिप करेंगे और वहाँ पे मतलब 4 कंपनी ऑलरेडी साइन कर चुकी हैं और एक पूरा का पूरा